Evac is a game where the player will fly a helicopter and dodge enemy fire as well as navigate terrain to rescue bunkered down soldiers. Players will fly into battle and have to dodge mountains and other terrain as well as use it as cover to avoid incoming enemy bullets and rockets. The helicopter won't have any weapons, so the player will have to choose a path strategically to make it to the evacuation point without being shot down. Once at the evac point, the soldiers will be loaded onto the helicopter and the player will have to fly out of the war zone to get the soldiers back to safety. This will require similar tactics to reaching the evac point, but at a much harder difficulty level as the enemy will be more motivated to shoot the helicopter down. The player's goal is to rescue the trapped soldiers without being shot down and return them to safety while under the attack of enemy ground troops, as well as a timer which will simulate the enemy forces overpowering the Allied troops and killing them all. Evac is a 3D, third-person game that is similar to the online helicopter game, which requires players to avoid obstacles in the environment. The helicopter game is an endless runner-style game, whereas Evac has a mission to reach certain markers to complete objectives. Evac also gives the player full control over the movement of the helicopter in all directions, whereas helicopter game only lets the player control vertical movement. Evac also incorporates enemies attacking the helicopter, not just avoiding environmental obstacles. We will have the opportunity to control the landscape of the environment, which will dictate the paths available to the player, as well as the number of enemies the player encounters on each level. Ground troops may have different weapon types, such as heavy machine guns or rockets, which cause different amounts of damage to the player. There is also the possibility of adding in enemy helicopters that fly in to intercept the evacuation chopper once the troops are picked up at the evac point. One of the major risks involved in creating this game is creating enemies with different weapon types that are able to damage the helicopter but also offer a fair opportunity for the player to avoid the damage. This is especially true if we attempt to implement enemy helicopters that join the fight after the troops are evacuated. Creating enemy helicopters that deal damage and avoid terrain could prove challenging in the time we have allotted to build this game. Finally, we could face challenges in building an effective flying system for the evacuation helicopter that allows the player to control when they accelerate forward, turn left or right, and allows the player to adjust flight height to avoid damage, and also land the helicopter successfully. Thank you.